The third group to connect with is good friends. In life, we need to find and connect with many types of people, and the third important group is our living environment, the place where we find friends. Where we live shapes our relationships. When you live in a poor neighborhood, you will have 4 or 5 friends who go through childhood together. When you go to school, the classroom becomes a place to build school friendships. Then comes university with different friends. And then, one day, you start a family, finding a special friend who can be with you for 40 to 50 years, someone we call a life partner. It's interesting that in the old days, when people were in love, it was called love. But when they got married, this concept was transformed into life partner. This implies that 2 people must be together for a lifetime. However, in modern society, many couples only stay together for 2 years before divorcing, turning the relationship into a kind of temporary friend or a placeholder friend for a short period. When that happens, the sacred meaning of the term life partner is lost and becomes wasted. True joy in life is truly impermanent. The amount of joy you experience will diminish over the years. This is an undeniable truth. Nothing stays in a state of euphoria forever. Joy also follows the laws of nature. It comes and goes, it is born, and it dies. Yet we still crave lasting joy, a concept that does not exist in reality. Therefore, when facing periods of boredom or fatigue, character is the decisive factor in whether we stay together. If we only pursue enjoyment and pleasure, we will easily choose divorce and seek a new love, but then history repeats itself. After a few years, the new love will also fall into a similar situation. Therefore, we need to clearly realize that husband and wife living together must be life partners. If you work in an organization where all 10 colleagues are corrupt, I'm sure that within 2 years you will also be affected and become tainted like them. I have a cousin who is a traffic police officer, and he only maintained his integrity for exactly 6 months. Therefore, colleagues play an extremely important role, sometimes even more important than spouses. The reason is that the actual time spouses spend together is usually only about 4 hours a day, after deducting 6 to 7 hours of sleep. Waking up in the morning, you go to work immediately, living in the office for 10 hours, and when you get home, there are only a few short hours left. Compared to this time, the time we spend with colleagues is even greater. In each person's life, there are 3 groups of friends that play an important role. The first group is friends from humble beginnings, the ones you often invite for coffee on weekends. The second group is colleagues, the people you meet from the moment you walk into the office at 8 a.m. and leave at 6 p.m. And the third group, extremely important, is your life partner, the person who opens the door for you at 6 p.m. with a sweet smile. That smile is very important. If their face is frowning, grumbling, or grinding their teeth, that is a sign of a withered life for the next 50 years. Among these 3 groups of friends, the first 2 can be changed. With friends from humble beginnings, you can change by moving away, not hanging out with them anymore. As for colleagues, you can resign, apply to another company, and find a better working environment with a better boss. Because a good boss will produce good employees, and a bad-tempered boss will make employees bad-tempered too. It's that simple. Thus, you have the right to change these 2 groups. You can fire them. But with the third group, your life partner, you cannot fire them. But be careful, they might fire you. Therefore, if you want to understand your life partner, one of the simplest and quickest ways is to learn about face reading, physiognomy. Face reading helps you know about your life partner just by looking at their face. If husband and wife stand up and look at each other's faces, you will immediately know who bullies whom. And just by bullying each other less, life will be less painful, that's all. Some people bully with sugar-coated bullets. that is, with sweet demands. They speak in a very sweet voice, but hidden behind it is constant demands. The more demands, the more tired the husband or wife becomes. When asked why they demand so much, they often reply, "I want you to be better." That is impersonating the word better to make the husband so miserable that he has to go drinking. Sentences like, "You're only a 7 out of 10 at best," "I want you to be a 9-inch" are expressions of the "give you an inch, you take a mile" mentality. And according to observation, out of 10 women, up to 9 suffer from this mentality. When a woman marries, she tends to see her husband as something she owns. Do you see that mentality clearly? They don't let their husbands be free but want to grasp their husbands in their palms and stuff them in their pockets. The wife uses her husband just like using a phone, considering it hers, putting it in her purse, zipping it up, locking him up. With that mentality, how can life be beautiful? People often say marrying a husband is like putting a yoke around your neck, and marrying a wife is like having a rope tied to your leg. This rope tied to your leg is interesting. It looks very free. But when you go out about 10 meters, you get jerked back, fall flat on your face, and get dragged home. And because of being pulled back too much, the husband gets frustrated and creates a yoke for himself to chain his wife. This is an expression of pent-up anger. Gentle husbands are often short-tempered. The gentler they are, the easier it is for the wife to climb on their head, constantly pulling the rope until one day he can't stand it anymore. He will explode and beat her up. When driving in a car, I see this very clearly. The husband drives the car, and the wife sitting next to him often controls the driver as well. Shouldn't you just let them drive? Just let them drive, right? I am sharing about husband-wife relationships clearly because I have 21 years of experience as a husband, and I have 3 children, so I have plenty of experience. My family lives with 3 generations, and both paternal and maternal grandparents are only a kilometer away from each other, so I understand the psychology of both sides. I understand my wife's psychology, so I understand all 3 of them. In addition, on the upper floor of my house, there is my sister's house, so I also understand the psychology of how my sister treats her husband. Through observation, I see that out of 10 women, up to 9 are the same. They all consider their husbands as an object in their pocket, completely owned. That is why the faces of husbands later often have many wrinkles, and the more gentle a husband is, the more wrinkles they have on their face. People often say very meaningful sentences. Tell me who your 5 best friends are, and I will know who you are. And tell me your 5 favorite books, and I will also know who you are. But there is a third sentence that is almost never mentioned online or in books. Tell me who you learn from, and I will also know who you are. They usually only say the first 2 sentences, missing this third one. Therefore, when you study for an MBA in the West, you follow economic professors, then surely when you step into life, your perspective and views on life will consider economics as number 1. Very few people can escape that mindset. Very few people question whether economics is really number 1. So these 3 objects, friends, books, and teachers, you stand in the middle and connect with all 3. Whoever can connect well with all 3 of these objects has found the 3 treasures of life.